Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Wrestling Skull podcast, coming live tonight. I'm your host, John Scott, joined as always by my co-host, Matt Essex. Matt, how you doing? And 8 days removed from Survivor Series. How's things with you and wrestling viewing for you since all that aftermath of the Goldberg victory?
I'm not feeling too bad about it now. I mean, I've had a week to cool off now, so I'm just hitting the reset button. I'm just looking to the future now, trying to forget the past.
Yeah, you've had a little cooling period off, I guess, that cooling period. And I don't know about you, Matt, but I did revisit that extremely lengthy match between Goldberg and Brock. Didn't take too long. Let's put it that way to go back on it. But sometimes when things happen like that, Matt, in the moment, where especially if you're watching it live, or even for the first time, it comes across a certain way, and then you wait. With wrestling, you try and see the aftermath. You try and make some sort of logical sense, and it's when you're a little bit out of the moment, it's good to go back on and revisit it. And it's something I did, Matt, and I've got to be honest, the second time round, let's just say I didn't mind it as much as in the sense as this. I want to make this a huge point here, because a lot of the listeners were a little bit confused maybe about how I kind of perceived it, and I'm not sure if it was the same with you as well, Matt, but let me just say this much. I had no... even though it was incredibly short, I still don't have much of an issue with the way it all went down. I think we both agreed, Matt, it had to be short, but obviously neither of us expected it to be that short. The only major issue I really have with it is the guy or the sort of components they used for that match. It's not the match that I have too much of a problem with. It's the idea of Goldberg, a 50-year-old guy coming back after 12 years and pretty much just dominating your only top guy since goodness knows when. Since he's beat the Undertaker's streak. That was my issue. But with regards to the match, especially second time watching it, listen, it gives you that shock factor. It was similar to the whole Randy Orton affair. People afterwards loved or hated that one, but it got people talking. Matt, 8 days removed, how do you feel about it? And obviously hearing Goldberg now on Raw is going to be entering himself into the Royal Rumble itself. It's not like a one-off match that he's doing at the Rumble now. He's actually in the Rumble, which again, I think before this we might have thought he'd be having sort of a sort of singles match, but it's not going to go that way. He's entering the Rumble. He's hinting at what, say, a title, or I don't know how much we're supposed to believe into that. But then again, Matt, anything can happen right now. That's the worrying, scary part about all this. What's your feelings, obviously, after seeing all this stuff on the aftermath?
Well, I've got to be optimistic about it, I guess, because I'm going to watch it either way.
Yeah.
So, I just hope they have a better plan than what I think they might go with, because I've got to trust in it. That's kind of the fun of it, I guess. Anyway, if I knew what was going to happen, or I was predicting it all along, it wouldn't be as fun. I mean, you can't always get your own way as a wrestling fan, and I know I would have preferred Brock to win, but Goldberg win, it does add a little bit of variety, I guess. I mean, I know it was, in my eyes, the wrong decision, but still, it gives Goldberg instant credibility, and going into the Royal Rumble, it does have you questioning it. Maybe that was the angle they're going for, because if Goldberg had just come back and announced that he was going in the Royal Rumble, people would probably turn on him like they did Batista, thinking, well, he doesn't deserve to be in the Rumble. But now he's beaten Brock, people might change their opinion on that. They might think that he is a credible threat. They might think that he could possibly go for a title, and there's probably a lot of hardcore Goldberg fans out there that probably wouldn't even mind that. So I guess I'm kind of interested to see the direction that they will take with this now.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Like you say, Matt. I mean, either way, we're locked in here, aren't we? You know, you and I at least will not be getting away from any wrestling anytime soon. So we've got to go along and kind of with what they're going with. I particularly felt, and it's been a split thing because I've listened to people like Jim Cornette, I've listened to Jim Ross. In the middle of the week, and I wanted to hear their opinions on it. And it was interesting to hear that Jim Ross pretty much backed everything that happened. Jim Cornette, at least at the beginning, was scratching his head as to why WWE would allow this to happen, considering that years back Vince McMahon wanted to get away from having these guys sort of run amok, come into their business and take all the money, and he didn't want to be held to ransom anymore. It seems like they've gone back on their word slightly because they're obviously paying Goldberg quite well here, and it's almost like they have gone back on their word, especially against their full timers. Matt, I actually named this particular episode as I always put a little title up on the top. And I put this to you that about the age of the mid-carders era, and to me, I personally feel like this is the age of the mid-carders in the sense that unless you are these kind of super Brock Lesnar's or a Goldberg that is there on these levels. We're in a sense in a period where there are so many guys who do not seem like they are a cut above the rest, and even if you're Kevin Owens, you can be Finn Balor, you can be Cesaro, you can be Sheamus. It just seems to me, at least, that everybody is in the same exact position. And no matter if you put a title on, some of these guys, it all seems very much stale. It seems like anybody could be holding the belts at the moment. There doesn't seem to be a decent tier system going on in WWE. I mean, I pretty much always mention about the whole sort of ideology of having guys over. But more than just having guys over, there isn't a tier system where I'm thinking, okay, you've gone with that guy, you're giving them the rub, and now we're just going to get behind those guys to the top. There doesn't seem to be that. Now, I know people will probably be shouting out, well, what about Roman Reigns? WWE certainly backed Roman Reigns. Well, yeah, they did back Roman Reigns, and they also did give him a lot of rubs. But again, it's one of those things where maybe if he was the heel, we'd be talking about this a lot differently. He's not the heel; he's the baby face that they've literally been sticking in front of us for a large part of his, well, basically since he won the Royal Rumble, and people have just pretty much spat him out. I mean, anything they've tried to do with the guy, the fans have not accepted, and I think we're at a point now with Roman Reigns where, quite frankly, things just have to go a different way with him. He is not in any way, at least at the moment, going to be the guy to take John Cena's mantle like they wanted, and it's kind of a shame, but literally that's how I feel about it. And I just feel that everybody at the moment, anybody could win the belt, and that's not always a great thing. And even though you've got two people like AJ Styles, like Kevin Owens, that I would have endorsed, if especially at the beginning of the year, knowing that those two guys were going to be the heavyweight champions, of course I would have endorsed that. But though they don't look like they are being treated as big, huge stars, like they don't seem any different from anywhere else what we've got at the moment, and that is the be all problem. That quite frankly, they're not any different from anyone else. So That is, in my opinion, one of the big problems at the moment with the tier system, and that is why I'm kind of calling it the mid-card era. I just feel like they have no real setup to make stars. I think it's been going on far too long, and again, a lot of it comes down to 50-50 booking, and that's just how things have gone for maybe too long. Quite frankly, that's how I am. Now, I know we've had a lot of listeners coming in this week, and I think I had a few people who did comment this week about, hey, why is it that WWE are not using the old tier system? Why do they not why do they not put things on where we're led to believe? Why are they not getting the cool things, I guess? And that is definitely one of the big questions I ask every week as well, because I've been watching wrestling for a long time, and if you've just come into wrestling, and you might think, well, I'm kind of satisfied with what we get, and you might think the whole Goldberg thing works perfectly, which you're entitled to your opinion, but to me, I'm not of that sort of mindset, and I just feel like it's funny how Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, who are getting the best stuff, they are doing things that are not very scripted WWE like. They're very much out of the PG zone, and they're getting over the best. And why they're getting over the best? They're getting over the best because they're being able to be more creative and very different. And unlike everybody else on the roster, they are not getting that opportunity. Matt, I want to bring you into this, if I can. And into the fact that what is your opinion about when you watch Goldberg cut a promo, or Brock Lesnar, and then you're watching some of the full-time guys, because the difference in sort of leverage and what they can get away with compared to the full-time guys, I think is very, very noticeable now. I don't know what you think about that, but especially even with Heyman, in fact.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I do think that people are just walking like Goldberg, and like we've seen with The Rock, and some of the stuff that they say and do is really not that PC, but it gets them over really well though. And I guess when it comes down to that is the point of what can WWE do about that? If they're just going to turn up and say whatever they want, they still need them to come in and work whatever match they're going to do, or do whatever spot they're going to do. Then they can't really criticise them too much. It just seems like people like Kevin Owens, Jericho, and John Cena to a point, and all that, they can be sort of told what to do, because they've got to turn up the next day and probably get told they should have said that or done that. And it's at odds with each other as well, because if they're supposed to be in a PG kind of era, then just stick with that. Or if you're going to go a bit more edgy, it would probably do your product some good to let the other talent in on it as well. I mean, I'd much rather be watching some more edgy kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not saying this isn't the stuff that they're doing now. I think it's good, the quality that they're producing now. But if they did do some more edgy stuff, I think it would really help the new up and coming talent, because there's not much shock factor in them these days.
No, and like I say, I titled this earlier and I put it down as the mid-card era, because I do really believe that's what we got, and nobody seems to be different. Nobody seems to be going in a tier system. It just seems like anybody, as I said before, could be have the strap on them, and it really makes no odds, because even though Kevin Owens is a champion, even though AJ Styles is the champion, they're not perceived as any. They're not even in the same universe as Goldberg and Lesnar, or The Rock, or guys like that, or Triple H. They're completely below it. So it doesn't even the titles, I think, at the moment are the weakest they've been in some time. I really do think they let themselves down when they kind of divided them again. Like, I think I was for the brand split, yes, but I felt a champion going between two would have been so much better. And at the moment, Matt, I think that Charlotte at the moment is probably the most credible champion that they have in the entire roster. All over the show, because she's just been whether it's been handled better, or, and she's not always sort of